prison, and my other best friend got shot in the face. There's a scripture in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 15:33, and it says that evil friends corrupt good habits. And it's a very true statement. So you have to make sure, you got to figure out who's in your circle, who needs to be in your circle. But the flip side of that circle is the truth too. Good friends corrupt evil habits. For so long, I lived in this square of I'm going to go to church and I'm going to have my relationship with God. But then when I went to school, it was a whole different story. Now, I was still Christian. I wouldn't lie, cheat, or steal. I did me, but I never used my voice. Why? Because I stutter. And so Satan's like, man, don't talk. Nobody wants to hear you. You stutter like an idiot. Anytime you talk, people make fun of you. We would go and we would have group projects, and the kids in my group would say, hey, anybody can do whatever they want. Mike, you can do whatever you want except talk. So I had this huge thing that was right over my head where everybody knew how horrible I was. And yet the whole time I have God saying, you know what, I got you. Don't give up. And see, what you have to understand is that your calling, what you've been created for. So many times what happens is Satan first tries to turn that into a weakness so that you'll give up. But if you don't give up, then there's a reward on the other side. So many times the thing we struggle with the most is what God has called us to do. So many times girls, you have all these girls acting catty with you. These girls don't want to be your friends, not knowing God has created you to impact women for a lifetime. Here I was, I couldn't even talk, and God said, I'm going to put you on stages where you're going to be able to speak all over the earth. Can I tell you, I have stood in stages from New York to Florida to Portland to Seattle to Houston to Dallas to Austin. I can name countless stages. Why? Because I didn't give up. And you have to begin to understand how important it is for you not to give up for your generation. Because there's a lot of people, let's be honest, there's a lot of people saying bad stuff about your generation. But here's the thing, who cares what they're saying? I want to hear what God's saying. Everybody used to tell me, shut up, don't talk. Everybody used to tell me your voice doesn't count. But what I learned through my stuttering was maybe there's something wrong with my brain doesn't connect with my voice and I can't talk what I want to say, but I still have something valuable to say. And what I've seen about your generation is that you have something valuable to say, and the enemy is trying so hard to shut you up that maybe there's a reason why he's trying to shut you up. Have you ever thought about that? You study the Bible, and I challenge you to read the scriptures. You study the Bible, there's always cycles. You study the Bible, you see there's things that God shows us in the Old Testament that play out in the New Testament, that play out in our lives. And when we begin to understand how God works, it allows us to understand what we were created to do. Who knew that I would go from stuttering and being made fun of in front of 6th graders and 8th graders, and now Kevin Durant and Steph Curry will come in there in town to hear me preach? Who knew? God did. So maybe you're making choices based on the circumstances that you did. And maybe you're like those orphans that are homeless, thinking, you know what, I'm worthless. I have nobody that cares about me. Not knowing the miracle or the breakthrough that's on the way to you. If you have your Bibles, I want you to turn to Romans chapter 8, verse 19. It says, for the earnest expectation of the creation eagerly waits for the revealing of the sons of God. Creation is waiting for you to step forward into your purpose and destiny. Creation isn't waiting for Jesus to come back. Why? Because if Jesus came back, they would probably just crucify him again. But what they are looking for is somebody that looks, acts, smells, and maybe even touches like Jesus. And maybe then, just then, we'll see the revolution we've been waiting for. In the Old Testament, we see Moses come on the earth. How many of y'all know who Moses is? The guy who splits the Red Sea, leads the Israelites out of Egypt to the Promised Land. Moses is born, and Pharaoh, understanding that Satan is working with him, understanding that this kid Moses, there's something special about him. He's under 2 years old. They don't know what's going on, but they know there's something special about him. So Pharaoh says, kill all the kids under the age of 2. Yet God saves and preserves Moses. Fast forward a few thousand years later, We see Jesus come on the earth. Satan in the same way works with Herod and said there's something special about that kid that was born to Mary. And so what do? They kill all the kids under the age of 2. Fast forward a few thousand years, and your generation comes up, and the enemy knows there's something special about this generation. And what does he say? Kill all the babies. 46 million babies have been killed in America. Have you ever thought Satan has more faith in you than you have in yourself? The enemy sees the potential in you more than you see in yourself. But God sees and God chose, and God says, regardless of what your circumstances look like, regardless of what you're struggling with, regardless if you fit in or you don't fit in, God says, I've called you and I've chosen you and I've formed you and I've called you by name and I need you. Have you ever thought God needs you? Have you ever thought about that? So maybe the struggle that you're having, maybe the place that Satan is lying to you and telling you you're worthless, is actually the place that God is trying to come and bring truth and says, no, this is why I've created you. Maybe those of you that are struggling with depression, that Satan's saying your life is worthless. Maybe your life is so beautiful and so powerful, and you're going to touch so many people that Satan has to try to stop you. I had countless people make fun of me. Countless people bully me. I had adults make fun of me. Why? Because Satan had to try really hard to shut me up. Because he knew about 20 years later, I would be speaking at the 2-year anniversary of Power Surge Youth. And he knew that this youth group was going to turn Webster and League City and Clear Lake and Friendswood upside down. So he said, I've got to stop Mike. Because if Mike gets to 2019, he's going to light the fire in a youth group that's going to turn this city upside down. But guess what? He failed. So if God would give a stuttering kid a voice to speak to you, to say that God believes in you, how important are you? How much passion does God have for you? How important is your destiny? How important is your purpose? Think about it. Now all the attacks make sense. They say hindsight is 20/20. I'm 35 years old, and I think about so many times at the age of 13 where I would literally battle with depression. I would go and I'd put the blanket over my head and I would cry because of how much I was being made fun of. And now it makes sense. Because it's like I've got to do whatever I can to stop this brother from doing what he's been called to do. Because he's crazy enough to believe Jesus. And anybody that's crazy enough to believe Jesus can turn the world upside down. God doesn't need 1 million people. He just needs one princess that will believe in her king. And we'll see schools turned upside down.